Meditation, Mind and Patanjali's Yoga by Swami Bhaskarananda. Teacher and student relationship. Why we need a teacher? People in the West often ask whether they need a teacher to learn how to meditate. The answer is a definite yes. By reading a book on meditation, we can surely learn how to do simple meditation. But personal guidance from a competent teacher is far better. Students will encounter difficulties, even hazards, while practicing meditation. Owing to lack of experience, they may not be able to handle these problems without the help of a competent teacher. The type of meditation they pick up from books may not be suitable for them and could slow their progress or even harm them. No two persons are alike. Every one is unique, and every person requires spiritual practices tailored to suit himself or herself. An experienced teacher is better able to wisely judge which spiritual practices will be suitable for a student. For this reason, religions such as Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sufism consider a spiritual teacher an absolute necessity. In these traditions, the relationship between the spiritual teacher and the student is based on mutual faith and trust. The student must have faith in the teacher, otherwise the student won't feel the urge to follow the teacher's instructions. And the teacher should also have faith in the student. The teacher's faith in the student will greatly enhance the student's yearning to learn. A true spiritual teacher must never charge money for giving spiritual instruction. Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain traditions strongly forbid it, but the teacher may accept gifts given by students out of gratitude. The difficulty of finding a competent teacher and avoiding spurious ones. Unfortunately, there are far too many spurious teachers in the world. Finding a proper teacher of meditation, or for that matter any spiritual teacher, is difficult, but not impossible. As long as there is a demand for true teachers, numerous false teachers will abound. As long as good money is in demand, lots of counterfeit money will be in circulation. A realistic view of this world reveals that proportionately what is best is always the least. There is very little cream in milk, very little perfume in flowers, and only a small number of good and noble people in the world. The same applies to genuine spiritual teachers. Their number is negligible compared to the relatively large number of fake teachers. With no quality control inspectors in religion, false teachers continue to exploit the ignorant and gullible without hindrance. Exploitation is a chronic illness in human society. A study of world history reveals that the powerful and unscrupulous have always exploited the less powerful. Those with stronger muscles have exploited the weak. The wealthy have used the poor. The more intelligent have abused the less intelligent. Militarily powerful nations have exploited weaker nations. We need not therefore be surprised that so many false spiritual teachers and charlatans take advantage of the unsuspecting and gullible. False spiritual teachers exist in all countries and all races. Many people become victims of pseudo-spiritual teachers. In my youth, I was once a victim of a questionable teacher. From my own experience and that of others, I can attest that the methods employed by these spurious teachers are extremely clever and deceptive. They use just about every means of deception to entrap their victims and exploit them. At this point, serious spiritual seekers must ask, how can we protect ourselves from fake teachers and find one who is genuine? My answer is that we should use our God-given intelligence to protect ourselves from questionable teachers. Hindu scriptures such as the Katha Upanishad and the Mundaka Upanishad advise spiritual aspirants to be intelligent and not behave like the blind led by the blind. Sri Ramakrishna, the well-known 19th century saint of India, used to say, "Be a good devotee to God, but don't be a fool." To be ignorant and gullible is neither a great spiritual quality nor a commendable worldly virtue. Yet there are so many gullible people in the world. Phineas T. Barnum of the well-known Barnum and Bailey Circus of America is said to have once remarked, "There's a sucker born every minute." These words are just as true today as they were 100 years ago. Lately, fake spiritual teachers have begun using highly sophisticated multimedia propaganda techniques. They skillfully use publicity to influence and entrap people. Joseph Goebbels, the infamous head of the propaganda department in Hitler's Germany, reportedly said, "If you tell a lie 100 times, it becomes the truth." Genuine spiritual seekers must be extremely cautious and not fall into such traps. People often use the wrong criteria to judge spiritual teachers. Once a gentleman came to me and said, "I'm lucky to be the disciple of a great saint. My teacher at one time was a well-known Harvard professor." It sounded rather odd. Spiritual teachers ought to be judged by their present spiritual qualities, not by their past worldly achievements. Success in secular life, whether in the past or present, is not the right criterion to judge the spirituality of a teacher. There are some questionable spiritual teachers whose tactics include flattering the egos of those who come to them. I knew one teacher who would flatter the egos of his potential followers by telling them that they had been very famous people in their past lives. He told one middle-aged lady that she was Michelangelo in her previous incarnation. This made her feel important. Some people are like moths. They want to jump into fire and die. They would rather be swindled and cheated by charlatans than use their God-given intelligence. No words of caution can dissuade them. True spiritual seekers are expected to behave differently. They are expected to be rational and capable of making sound judgments. Some guidelines are given below to help inexperienced spiritual seekers differentiate genuine saints and teachers from spurious ones. Characteristics of genuine spiritual teachers. Number 1. Genuine spiritual teachers have no ulterior selfish motives. They always think of the spiritual and mundane well-being of others. Number 2. They do not crave praise, honor or fame. If praised by others, they feel embarrassed. Yet they are always eager to give praise and honors to others. Number 3. They are beyond lust and greed. Both lust and greed are rooted in selfishness. Genuine spiritual teachers are totally unselfish. Number 4. They do not crave money. The scriptures of Hinduism say that one cannot have eternal life unless one has renounced wealth and the craving of progeny. The New Testament says, "No man can serve two masters. Ye cannot serve God and mammon together." Why do these scriptures consider money an impediment to spiritual life? Money is nothing but potential sense enjoyment. In exchange for money, we get objects of sense enjoyment. Attachment to money is no other than attachment to sense pleasure. Tulsi Das, a well-known saint of India, used to say, "God isn't there where there is desire for sense pleasure. Where God is, there is no desire for sense pleasure." As spiritually illumined teachers are not attached to sense pleasure, they are not attached to money either. Once, somewhere in India, a holy man was sitting in his ashrama, monastery, in the presence of his disciples. A wealthy disciple of the holy man came, laid a package at the feet of his guru, and saluted him. "What's this package for?" asked the holy man. The disciple replied, "This is a small gift for you, sir. It contains 100,000 rupees. As soon as he heard this comment, the holy man kicked the package away. The disciple felt very humiliated and said to his guru, "Revered sir, you won't find too many disciples who can give you 100,000 rupees. The holy man said, "And you won't find too many gurus either who can kick away 100,000 rupees. Genuine spiritual teachers never charge money for giving spiritual instructions. To impress people, spurious spiritual teachers of independent means also may not take money from their students. Nevertheless, they crave honor, adoration, and appreciation from their students." Number 5. Genuine spiritual teachers do not look upon themselves as either teachers or saints. Their natural humility prevents them from doing so. They feel embarrassed when others call them saints or teachers. They give their teachings without the vanity of a teacher. Number 6. They never write books or autobiographies to glorify themselves, nor do they indulge in any other kind of self-aggrandizement. If they write books at all, they do so as a service to mankind or God. As long as they are alive, they are against anyone writing their biographies. Number 7. They are not interested in any kind of publicity. One such example is Sri Ramakrishna. Among his many admirers was Brahmananda Keshab Chandra Sen, the renowned leader of the reformist Brahmo Samaj Church of India. Impressed by Sri Ramakrishna's saintliness, Keshab Chandra Sen wrote an article in his church journal, The Indian Mirror, appreciating the saint. Hearing of this, Sri Ramakrishna felt extremely embarrassed. When Keshab Chandra Sen came to see him, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Keshab, why did you write about me? You need not publicize me. If God so wills, He will decide whether people should know about me or not." Number 8. Genuine spiritual teachers may start organizations but will never name them after themselves. Nor will they allow an organization founded by their admirers to be named after them. They may find organizations and, out of reverence and gratitude, name them after their deceased gurus or spiritual teachers. Swami Vivekananda, for example, founded the Ramakrishna Mission, the well-known philanthropic organization of India. He named it after his deceased guru, Sri Ramakrishna, not after himself. Number 9. Truthfulness is one of the most important qualities of genuine spiritual teachers. If they lie, they are not fit to be teachers. Number 10. Genuine spiritual teachers practice what they preach. They do not advise others to do what they themselves would not do. Once a poor widow came with her son to see a holy man. The boy was extremely fond of candy. Due to her poverty, it was very hard for the woman to buy candy for her son. She said to the holy man, "Sir, will you kindly ask my son not to eat candy? I have asked him many times, but my words haven't produced any effect. You are a holy man. I'm sure he will listen to your advice." Thereupon the holy man said to her, "Please bring your son back in 7 days. I'll talk to him then." They returned in 7 days, but the holy man asked them to come back again after another week. When they came back the second time, the holy man said to her son, "My child, don't eat candies, they are not good for you." The mother said, "Sir, why didn't you say this to him the very first day we came to see you?" The holy man replied, "I myself was fond of eating candy. I didn't have the right then to ask your son to give up eating candy. It has taken me 2 weeks to get over this weakness. Now I've gained the right to ask him not to eat candy." Number 11. Genuine spiritual teachers are not mystery mongers. They do not mystify religion. They do not want to awe people by claiming to have miraculous powers, nor do they ordinarily want to display them. If at all they perform miracles under the inspiration of God, they consider that to be God's glory, not their own. Number 12. They are never depressed or morose. They are always peaceful and cheerful. They are humorous, but their humor does not hurt or ridicule anyone. They use it to help people spiritually. Number 13. They are naturally non-violent, kind and considerate. They never become really angry. Sometimes they may make a show of mock anger to discipline their students for their spiritual good. Number 14. Humility is a special distinguishing quality of all genuine spiritual teachers and saints. All great spiritual teachers and saints are humble. In India, there lived a monk in the holy city of Vrindavan. The monk fell from grace, having had an immoral relationship with a woman. As a result, other monks in the city shunned him. One day, all the monks of Vrindavan were invited to a feast given by a very wealthy person. Along with other monks, the fallen monk also went to the wealthy man's home for the feast. This caused a commotion in the dining hall. The assembled monks said to the host, "None of us will sit and eat here unless you ask the fallen monk to leave." The most famous Vaishnav Sant of Vrindavan was also present among the assembled monks. The saint was renowned for his humility and other saintly qualities. Ignoring what the other monks had been demanding, he took his seat in the dining hall and made the fallen monk sit next to him. Then he said to the other monks, "Brothers, I consider this monk to be my guru. By his own life's example, he has taught me what humiliation and misfortune one has to go through when fallen from grace." The saint's humility touched the hearts of the monks. They all then quietly sat down to eat. Sri Chaitanya, a great spiritual teacher and saint of India, said in one of his teachings, "A true lover of God is humbler than even a blade of grass, and more enduring than a tree. He craves neither respect nor honor. Yet he is always willing to give honor and respect to others." A tree, when being cut down by a logger, silently endures the pain. Nevertheless, it does not deprive the logger of its fruits or shade. So also a true lover of God withstands all sufferings inflicted on him or her by others, and yet does not stop serving them. Why are genuine saints humble? How do they acquire humility? According to our scriptures, a saint's humility is the outcome of many years of intense spiritual practice. Simply making a New Year's resolution such as "from today onwards I shall be humble" is not likely to make anyone humble. Only after many years of steadfast spiritual practice can true humility be gained. When engaging in spiritual practice, one has to eliminate both external and internal defects. It is relatively easier to eliminate external defects, but very hard to get rid of internal ones, which lie hidden in the deeper layers of mind and have yet to be discovered. Once discovered, repeated attempts must be made to eliminate them. These defects are much more subtle than external ones. Craving for name and fame and yearning for attention and praise are two examples of subtle internal defects. Sharada Devi, a great 19th century woman saint of India, used to say that external defects are like so many knots in a thick rope. It is comparatively easy to untie them. The subtler internal defects are like knots in a thin hair. Undoing them is extremely difficult. As mentioned earlier, one cannot overcome defects by trying only once. Repeated attempts have to be made, as success comes only after many failed attempts. One develops humility and cannot feel superior to others. Lately, the expression self-esteem has gained considerable popularity. We are asked to get rid of our low self-esteem in order to succeed in life. Some believers in self-esteem consider humility harmful. According to them, humility is lack of self-esteem. This view, however, is not correct. Humility is a realistic recognition of our imperfections. It does not make us feel worthless. It urges us to strive for perfection. According to some psychologists, the motivation for gaining superiority comes from a sense of inferiority. Recognition of our imperfections does not necessarily mean that we lack self-esteem. When we see our imperfections and think that we can never improve, only then are we lacking in self-esteem, otherwise not. If a sense of inferiority urges us to succeed in spiritual or mundane life by ridding ourselves of our imperfections, then we surely are not suffering from any lack of self-esteem. On the contrary, we are in the process of healthy psychological growth. Number 15. In addition to all these qualities, a genuine spiritual teacher should also have a good spiritual lineage. A teacher must be a student of a genuine saint of proven reliability. Even to acquire secular knowledge, it is wise to go to teachers with good academic backgrounds. These teachers are reliable. Similarly, it is safer to go to a spiritual teacher with a good spiritual lineage. The reliability of a spiritual teacher is usually proven with the passage of time. There is a saying, time is the best healer. In a special sense, time is also the best killer. Impostors claiming to be great saints may fool some gullible people during their lifetimes, but in time people discover their deceptions. Time eventually kills their so-called saintly images. Abraham Lincoln once rightly said, "It is true that you may fool all the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all the time. But you can't fool all of the people all of the time." Thus, a spiritual seeker must carefully avoid a self-proclaimed saint or teacher who lacks a proper spiritual lineage. Some tactics of fake spiritual teachers. As mentioned earlier, once I myself was the victim of a fake spiritual teacher. I know how these teachers use various kinds of deception in their clandestine trade of exploitation. Below are some of the techniques they use to swindle people. Number 1. Fake teachers usually try to project a mysterious image. This is often achieved by making themselves less accessible. A teacher whom I knew used to lock himself in his bedroom for the major part of the day. Nobody could see him at that time. He would also occasionally take a vow of silence and communicate by whispering or writing on a slate. Only for an hour or two in the morning and for 2 hours in the evening would he come out of his room to meet people. His admirers would imagine that during all those hours inside his room he was immersed in samadhi, a state of communion with God. The room where he met people in the evening would be kept poorly lit to create a mysterious atmosphere. It had electric lights, but they would not be turned on. A single candle would be burning, creating more shadows than light. Another tactic used by false teachers is to maintain several secretaries. To talk to them, you have to go through these secretaries. If you want an interview with such a teacher, you will not get it immediately. You have to wait. Unless you are a celebrity or very wealthy, you will be made to wait for days, even months. In this manner, the teachers enhance their image by making themselves inaccessible. Easy availability would make them less important. Number 2. I know of one questionable teacher who claims to have acquired some ancient and secret techniques from a mysterious holy man. He also claims that he alone has been empowered to teach those secret techniques to certain chosen people, preferably the rich and the famous. Number 3. People have a natural reluctance to work hard. The owner of a door-to-door fruit delivery business in the Seattle area wanted to hire some college students to sell fruits door-to-door during the summer months. He placed the following ad in a local daily newspaper. Sales, temporary summer employment. Work hard, earn good money. The ad ran for 7 days and there was not even a single response. The owner then put the following modified ad in the newspaper for another 7 days. Sales, temporary summer employment, have fun in the sun, earn good money. The ad brought 134 phone responses in 1 week. After hearing the job description, 10 agreed to show up that Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for work. Of that 10, 5 actually showed up. Of that 5, only 1 was a hard worker. During that summer, 3 of the 5 young men were seen stealing money. They had to be fired. The same is true for spiritual life. Few are willing to work hard to achieve spiritual progress. Taking advantage of that reluctance, some fake teachers claim that hard work will not be necessary for those who become their students. They also claim that by their spiritual powers, they can awaken the students' dormant spirituality and liberate them here and now. Such claims are utterly false. The food in our stomach cannot be digested by anyone else. So also with spiritual progress. It is we who have to work hard for it. No one else can do it for us. A teacher can only give us guidance and inspiration. We must follow our teacher's guidance and work hard to progress spiritually. The expression spiritual practice means repetitive spiritual effort. Intense spiritual effort has to be made over and over again to achieve the goal of spiritual life. Success is speedy for extremely energetic, says Patanjali. Number 4. One technique that false teachers use is to flatter the egos of their students. I knew a teacher in India who used to tell his students that they had been highly advanced souls in their previous incarnations and were born this time to assist him in propagating his message throughout the entire world, preferably in the affluent West. Another questionable teacher visiting Canada from India tried to encourage a bright young man of East Indian ancestry who was doing his postgraduate work in the University of Toronto to come along with him to India and become his monastic disciple. He said to the young man, "If you become my disciple, I promise I'll send you later to the United States as the head of my ashrama in Hawaii." No ordinary mortal can become a guru or teacher overnight. According to Hindu tradition, God is the only true spiritual teacher. Out of compassion for mankind, God incarnates on earth for the salvation of his creatures. Divine incarnations, being ever perfect, are the true teachers of mankind. No one other than a divine incarnation can become a spiritual teacher or guru overnight. Those who have experienced God after years of intense spiritual practice may be able to play the role of a teacher only after having been commissioned by God. They teach, but without the vanity of a teacher. They consider themselves to be instruments in the hands of God. There is no instant success in spiritual life. For some spiritual aspirants, God realization may not even come during one lifetime. Yet, everyone wants to be a guru. Once a young man came to the abbot of a monastery and said, "Sir, I want to become a monk. Please permit me to join the monastery." The abbot said, "If you want to be a monk, you should be prepared to do a lot of hard work. Every day you must get up from bed 2 hours before sunrise. After having a shower, you have to mop the temple floor, help cook all the meals for all the monks, do the dishes, take care of the vegetable garden, draw water from the stream to water the plants, take care of the guest, clean the cow shed, mow the lawns, and over and above all this, you have to regularly study the scriptures and meditate 3 times a day." The young man said, "I've understood what a newly admitted monk has to do. But sir, may I ask what an abbot is expected to do?" The abbot replied, "Well, not much. He has to perform the duties of a guru, such as giving spiritual instruction to his disciples, talking to visitors, and instructing the monks about their day-to-day duties." Thereupon the young man said, "In that case, sir, please make me a guru. I think that position will suit me best." Number 5. Another technique fake teachers may use is to pretend to be all-knowing. With the help of accomplices, they first collect information about the unsuspecting people who visit them. Using that information, they try to create the false impression that they know everything about them. Number 6. False teachers may start religious communes and encourage their followers to come and live with them. Those joining these communes are almost totally controlled by these teachers. A lady whom I knew became a resident of a certain religious commune on the east coast of the United States. After a few years, she became disillusioned with her teacher and decided to leave. But she was not allowed to leave. Other members of the commune watched her constantly. Finally, in the dead of the night, she somehow managed to escape. Walking many miles on foot, she was able to reach the nearest railroad station and eventually go to her parents in California. After her escape, she wrote to me, giving all the details of her unfortunate experience at the commune. She wrote that she had to give them all her money when she joined, and was not allowed to have contact with anyone other than the members of the commune. She was not allowed to communicate with relatives or friends, or even her parents. What happens when a sincere spiritual seeker becomes a victim of a false teacher? Most people's spiritual journey starts with a craving for miracles and mysteries. This is the stage of the mystery monger. A mystery is something unknown. Once we know it, it has ceased to be a mystery. The same is true for miracles. To us, TV and airplanes are not miracles, but to people out of touch with modern civilization, these would be miracles. In this mystery mongering stage, we are most vulnerable to exploitation by crooks and charlatans. And no matter how sincere we are more prone to fall into the traps of deceitful teachers. To grow spiritually, we must go beyond the mystery mongering stage. If sincere and trusting people fall into the trap of a deceitful teacher, what will happen to them? Will everything be lost? Hindu tradition says that such aspirants, in spite of having an incompetent teacher, may make some spiritual progress, provided they have genuine faith in God. A false teacher is like a dirty broom. Though dirty itself, it can still clean a dirty floor, even though not perfectly. Sooner or later, sincere students will discover the true color of their teacher. Their disillusionment will then protect them like a powerful vaccine from other questionable teachers. After this experience, they are more likely to know who a genuine spiritual teacher is. Shraddha, a necessary ingredient of student life. Religions such as Hinduism, Jainism, Judaism, Buddhism, and Sufism traditionally accord great honor and respect to spiritual teachers. Treat your teacher as a god, says the sacred text of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Hinduism maintains that spiritual knowledge can only be acquired by students with Shraddha for their teacher. Shraddha is a Sanskrit word without an exact counterpart in English. Shraddha means respect, implicit faith and trust. It also means self-confidence. Besides having the greatest respect for our teachers, we must have implicit faith and trust in them. We must also have the self-confidence that we will surely be able to experience God with our teacher's help, even though the path of spiritual progress, as the scriptures say, has many obstacles and difficulties. On the other hand, teachers must also have confidence in their students. This confidence in the students will help generate the students' self-confidence. End of Chapter 2, Teacher and Student Relationship.